very warm, isn't it?
Far too warm.
Far too warm, so... Should we go and get a peg?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, let's go. 83. Not a brilliant carp area. I don't know, we've got a decent mud line, so hopefully that's how I caught some fish Tuesday. Just got to hope the water level's not down too much, but we'll see, mate. You never know. Hi everyone, welcome to another match day live. I'm Andy Bennett and I've brought you here today at Partridge Lakes to fish the Thursday Open here on the Colvey Lakes. Now, I've drawn peg 83, which, hand on heart, is probably not where I want it to be. And I feel like if I'm going to do any good today, I've got to fish for carp. So that's what my approach is going to be based around, mainly fishing for carp. So I'm going to target the mud line. And in that mud line, I've roughly got about 15 inches of water, so a nice depth. And all I'm going to be doing over there is feeding ground bait via a little pot, maybe sometimes with a big pot. So I've mixed some ground bait up. I've got about 1.5 kilos of ground bait. And then other baits that I've got some micro pellets, which I'll probably put into my ground bait as well. That's quite important because sometimes just feeding ground bait doesn't give the fish anything to actually eat. So by putting some particles in there, they've got something to stop and actually eat. And then for hook baits, I've got some worms for the hook, which, you know, big juicy worms. You can put like half of one of them on the hook if need be. Sometimes even a full one if the carp are just in the peg and there's no F1s. And then for a change bait, I've got some meat also. It's a really hot day. We're going to get sort of temperatures up to 25, 27 degrees today. So probably the hottest day of the year up north. There's a few fish buzzing on the surface. I can see an odd fish, mainly carp. There's no signs of F1s. I don't think the F1s are going to feed whatsoever. So the other option that I would have had here is cast a shallow, but I'm going to basically approach this peg mud line. So fishing in that real shallow water across. Edge, which I've probably got a bit deeper, I've probably got 18 inches in my edge, and then I'm going to set up a mugging rig as well. So if any cruising carp come through, I can ship back quickly, try and mug an odd one of them. Yesterday, you know, being realistic, I looked at the weights. The OAP match was on these lakes yesterday, 61 pound Wonder Lake. So target weight, generally it fishes a tidgy bit better on a Thursday after a little bit of bait's gone in. So I'm only expecting 70, 80 pound, probably 10%, 20% extra than what the OAPs catch is normally about right. So realistic target, 70 to 80 pound to win the lake. To do any good and potentially win my section, I might only need 50 to 70 pounds. So that's my target. It's not many fish, you know, 70 pound could literally be 20 fish on here. So no need to rush, no need to panic. I'm expecting to catch 50% of my weight in that last hour and a half when they do eventually start to feed. So again, like, you know, it could be a slow 3 hours where we only catch 25, 30 pound. But then we could literally catch 30, 40 pound in the last hour and a half. So as the day goes on, I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to stick to my guns. I've been here many a times, fished the venue for over 20 years now, so I've got a lot of experience on here. And I just feel like mud and edge late on will probably be my best tactics. Rig-wise, I'll just quickly run you through the rigs. So for my dobbing rig, I've got quite a long length of line, probably about 4.5 foot of line, and then I've set it around about 11 inches deep. Just got an MW cookie. It's only a snake lake, so I don't need a big heavy float. 0.1 of a gram, and all I've got is 2 number 9s underneath that and no shot down the line. I can either put a piece of meat on there, bit of worm, something like that. And then my mud line rig is a new prototype float, which you'll shortly be able to get hold of these. What's important about these is the weight, a lot of weight to keep your rig in position. So a little short stumpy float, fiberglass stem, so it's really strong. It's going to be rubbing against my net. You're only fishing sort of 14, 15 inches deep there, so you need a real strong float for this. Quite a thick bristle, 2mm tip, and then a little bulk of 6 number 8s just to keep that rig really, really still. My edge rig is exactly the same. It's just to set a little bit deeper. A couple of back shots on there just so I can pin my rig against the banking. So I don't want them carp wafting it off. My shelf is only about this big. So 3 inches, you've got to make sure you keep your rig right against the bank. That'll stop liners and it'll keep your bait in position as well. Elastics are all grey hydro, so all exactly the same. I've got the short F1 stops on today. I don't need to be fishing long kits. Even though we're fishing for big fish, they can't really run anywhere. So even if they bottom meal out, if I was on a top kit and the fish bottom me elastic out, you know, it'll stretch 12 or 13 metres, so I've no worry about fish sort of busting me and stuff like that. So all short kits, and that's it really. Dead simple approach, but you know, stick to me guns and let's hopefully fish play ball. Right, there we go, one's all in. I'm going to feed my edges from the off. 200mm ground bait in the edge. Because it's a snake lake, it's not like a big lake where you've got to wait for the fish to come in. Sometimes they can come to your bait throughout the day. Now, they are getting bigger, these fish, so they do tend to feed later like typical carp venues. But if I put some bait there, I might be able to nick an odd fish. And then what I'm going to do, just because I can see an odd fish, I'm probably going to start mugging, to be honest. So I'm going to go and put not as much bait over here, probably about 100mm ground bait. The beauty of fishing like the mud, and your edges, because it's shallow water, you can actually see when the fish are in your peg as well. So let's start with, just going to look around and just see if I can see any fish. Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy. It's a problem when they're very, very hot. They fight really angry. Just seen a little plume come up on my mud as well. A little bit of colour change, which is a good sign. But sometimes they will, you know, it's too shallow and they'll avoid it, but I fish this lake loads of times when it's this hot. They're not interested in feeding in the deep water. I'm looking down a lake, there's no blows or signs of fish. Bloody hell, where's he going? He's not happy. Jesus Christ. Make him look a fool on YouTube. Come on. Actually might be foul hooked. I don't know any foul hook ones got him, but it actually might be in its back. I think it is, it is. Wow, there's me saying I'd swear this fish is foul hooked, and it actually is foul hooked. That's why he's going nuts. Got him. He must have turned. Must have turned and missed the bait. Good start though, 4.5 pounds. So I'm just looking now, see if I can see any more. They're really high up, these fish, so what I'm going to do is just take another inch off that, so I'm about 10 inches deep. Actually talking to my brother yesterday, and he does a bit of carp fishing, and one of the lads had said to him like he caught 92 carp up until the start of June, and then he never caught a carp for 3 weeks. It's a bit more obvious when you're big carp fishing and barbel fishing and stuff like that, how the fish switch off for a long period. With these commercials, sometimes there's more fish. And because there's a few more fish, you don't notice it as much. But definitely switch off at certain points of the year. It's only a little stocky. Probably just under a pound. See the worm hanging out of its mouth there. Right, so we're just up to third fish. Had a few signs of fish coming in, but I've had 3 or 4 spook already. But at least they're coming in, they're not totally ignoring the bait. Thought they might totally ignore it, but getting an odd one coming and having a look. Not seeing any colour in that edge yet. Feels a little bit bigger, not as stocky anyway. Ghosty. Cracking little fish. Probably 2.5 pound. So even though we've only had 3 fish, probably got £8 now. Doesn't sound a lot. Probably 10% of our weight and 10% of our time, so you can see. To get to sort of 60-70 pound, you don't need to catch that quick. So a little stocky, only £1, but just changed to a little bit of meat then. Little 6mm cube of meat on the hook. I think that's what's coming in the peg sometimes here now, just odd little stockies, but I'm not too worried. Like, stamper fish will just improve as the day goes on, hopefully. You know, there's nothing I can do now to sort of catch a bigger stamper fish. Another little stock here. I think that's what's coming in the peg, to be honest. There is an odd better one, obviously. But I think a lot of them, these little stockies, probably just over £1. That'll give me now £10. So a little catch up on the first hour's fishing. I've got 7 fish, not particularly big fish. I've had a 4.5 pound carp, obviously, which I foul up early doors mugging. I've had another little ghosty out of the mud, and then I've had 1 old F1 and 4 stockies, so 7 fish, probably got £13 I reckon. Now if we caught like this all match, obviously we'd end up with £65 on average. With a little bit of a better spell later on, hopefully we can catch double in that last hour. You know, we've got potential to get to £78 then. So even though it's not great, I'm not overly disappointed. You know, I'm not getting tons and tons of bites and fish aren't going mad, but I'm getting odd fish coming in. Like, it's just a fish starting to come in my peg now, so at least they're coming to my bait, so it's pretty much how I expected it to go. I knew it weren't going to be brilliant. I knew it was going to be a bit tricky, but I feel like I'm happy with how it's going. So it's probably going to take us to like £15. I'm actually happy with how it's playing out, so I'm not going to change nothing because it's so hot today. I can't see any other lines, maybe other than the edge, that are going to actually work. So I feel like I'm fishing the right method. It's going to give me the best chance of getting the best weight, I feel. And hopefully it just starts to improve towards the end of the day. I know I'm going to get a lull spell in the middle. I'm going to accept that already. But then hopefully with 2 hours to go, bites start to get a little bit quicker and a little bit faster. Maybe an odd better fish turn up. That's what we're hoping for. Maybe a few carp towards the end of the match. But for now, yeah, like this is exactly what I was expecting. We'll just keep ticking along and hopefully things pan out how we want and we can get to our target weight. There we go, another little stock here. Again, not a big fish, probably not even a pound this time, but I'm not fussed. I'll just have a little go in this edge now. There's 2 F1s down there. It's a little bit deeper in the edge. 2 better F1s as well. 2 pounders. Just been over on that mud. And obviously 20 odd minutes has passed. I've not really had any signs hardly. Fish have stopped coming in a little bit. I've been potting this edge with ground bait. A little bit more depth. I can still get next to the bank. I've just got a little bit more depth down here. And what I've done, I've just gone over on that mud, given like probably 150 ground bait. So I'll put a bit of bait over there, which the ducks are eating as well at the minute, but I'm not too fussed about that because they'll colour it up a little bit and they might drag some fish back in the area. So I'm not going to rush over there and try and scare the ducks off like some people might do. I'll just let them clear my peg out for me. Any activity like that, the fish are used to it, so the ducks clouding your peg up can actually help sometimes. So second hour roundup, it's been really hard. We've had 3 fish, so we've got 11 fish at the moment. Maybe we've had 4 fish actually. We've got £19, so I've lost a carp, which was just come out of the blue, probably £5, so that was a bit of a bummer, because that would have kept us sort of on track for sort of £12–15 an hour. So we're a little bit behind, but I'm not overly worried. The most important thing is that I've had 2 F1s down that edge, so that's a good sign. Hopefully that'll get better as the day goes on, especially towards the end of the day. And another good thing is we've got a little bit of cloud cover, which has come from nowhere really. There weren't a cloud in the sky this morning. That little bit of cloud cover, light level drops a little bit. Hopefully they won't be as spooky when they come into my peg. Now they've stopped coming in my peg in numbers, or you know, they're not colouring it up, so they're not really rummaging for bait like it was that first hour. I think it was more the stockies, to be honest, that was doing it. So the fish there's just turned near me mud, so there's an odd fish lingering, but they're not really that interested. But it doesn't take long to catch a weight on this, so condition wise I'm quite happy with this. A little bit overcast, it's looking a little bit more promising than the last hour. The last hour there's just bright sunshine, no signs of fish. It just didn't look like it was going to get a bite or going to happen, whereas now it's just gone a little bit cooler, a bit more cloud cover. So yeah, I'm a little bit happier. And like I said, I've had two F1s, two proper F1s, sort of 2-pounders in that edge. Hopefully some carp turn up there late. I'm going to keep feeding that with a big pot. I'm going to be a lot more aggressive in the edge than I am across. But yeah, that's where we're up to. Probably got, like I said, 19 pound in weight. So at the minute, we're only on course for sort of 45-50 pound. But you'll see as the day progresses, hopefully the fishing gets a little bit better. If it goes really bright and sunny and baking hot, it might not happen. But if it's anything like its usual, the fishing will definitely improve that last hour and a half. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's where we're up to. Let's see how this next hour pans out. There we go, another one of the older ones. Probably just under £2. It takes us over the £20 mark now. Just check my float, just looked like my float had slid a little bit. I'm just going to go and replumb that now. I think this is another little stocky. Yep. Getting mauled by spiders. Another little stocky. Probably just over £1. Just switch them to a little piece of meat. I don't feel like there's lots of big F1s coming in. I'm getting a few liners on my float now and again. So I know there's an odd fish coming and looking. I think that's what they are, them little stocky fish. It would definitely have been worth grabbing some maggots this morning. I feel like I might have caught an odd extra fish with maggots, especially when they're them type of fish. Worm's great for the carp and bigger F1s, but these little stocky fish, I feel like maggot would have probably caught me a couple of extra. Probably made a little bit of an error there forgetting them. Live maggots as well I've had. A lot of people fish dead maggots, but sometimes for little stockies and F1s and even little carp, live maggots, that little bit of movement, just the fish see it and pick it up a little bit quicker. Every time I moan I seem to get one. Start moaning more. Little carp. Not one of the big ones we want, but definitely a bonus. It's the sort of stamp we're looking for. Plus an odd bigger one mixed in. It's probably, I don't know, £4 maybe. So something comes to that bait pretty quickly, but then feel like it's just turned, swam back out. I just want to reposition my rig. Make sure it's right on that bait I fed. And that's how you want it. You want them coming back to your bait quicker. When it's taking 3-4 minutes for a fish to appear, you know there ain't many fish there. You sort of want them lingering in your peg. So when you feed, they just sort of turn around and swim to that little spot. There you go. Not big fish, just angry. Just take your time with these. No need to rush them, I'm not bagging. It's actually another little carp, I think. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, little carp. Little weird looking carp. Looks like he's got a bit of F1 in him. It's got the little red tail on him though. So that probably gives us 29 pound now, so. I think this is only a little stocky. I think this is what a lot of my little liners have been off. This little sort of new stock fish they put in last year, probably on a 10 ounce. I think that's what's been causing me liners. Little silly indications. Got it. These are not the carp we was after. We're after twice the size of them really. But I'm not going to complain, there's still a decent stamp. 2 and a bit pound. There's an odd fish there now. I'm just going to try a worm just to see. I'm thinking meat's better at the minute. Could just be the fact that there's an odd fish there now. It might not be the update, it might just be that there's more fish coming in the peg. So we're just coming up to the 3rd hour now. Got 34 pound in my head. So all along I've said like whatever we catch in that first 3 hours, I expect to catch the same in that last hour and a half, 2 hours. That last sort of third of the match if you like. So what I'm expecting, it's not happening already, but over this next hour I'm expecting a few fish to slowly start feeding a little bit better. So we've got 34 pound. Hopefully we're still on target to get to like 70 pound. You know, that's been my target all day sort of thing. 70 odd pound. Got a little fish come and go then. So yeah, I still feel like, you know, still got a chance to get into that. I do with that sun going in again a little bit, but we have got the shade now, so that's one good thing. Sun's come round, the mud line's shaded. Did have another look in that edge. Just lost one little stocky, that was all. they can literally turn up from nowhere. The last 40 minutes they could turn up there, some carp, so I'm going to be pretty aggressive for that. I'm going to keep potting it. I'm probably going to fish this mud for the next hour, build that edge up, try and get a bit of confidence, some fish feed in there, and then I'll have a look with an hour to go. If it don't go under, I mean, mud could still come good. I could end up fishing the mud for this last 2 hours now, but I could do with some better stamp fish coming in on this mud really, and there's not been that many. I had 2 little carp on it, but really I want them bigger ones, like the 5-6 pounders. They're what's going to bump my weight up. I catch like 4 or 5 pounders for £20, you know, which can happen literally in 20 minutes. It rocket me from like £34 now straight up to 50 odd pounds, so I'm not really seeing signs of like big tails and stuff in the mud. I don't feel like there's lots of carp in the area, to be honest. But I have had it where they turn up from nowhere down the edge. You might not think they're here, but they could just be milling about under the surface 2 foot deep, not really doing anything, and then all of a sudden they start to feed. So yeah, that's where we're up to. 3 hours in, we've got £34. We're hoping for things to slowly start to improve. Got one there just before he's going to finish. Again, not the stamp we want, but just keeps ticking us over. Only a little £1.5 off one. Maybe not even £1.5. Probably gives us £35. Still on that little bit of meat. Yeah, that's where we're up to. 3 hours in. Somewhere where he's expecting to be. Just had first look in the edge. Caught a little F1 £2. Come off that mud line. Let's have a look what we've got left. Just over an hour and a half left. Come off that mud line because I had a couple of quick fish and I thought it was going to happen, and then it's not really happened, to be honest. Stopped coming in. I've put a big pot on it. A little bit more aggressive over there now because I want to try and draw some better fishing. If I carry on kindering it, I've got a feeling I'll just pick an odd stocky off. I'm not putting enough bait in there, so I've gone a little bit more positive, given the full 200mm ground bait. In this edge here, I've had 3 F1s up to now, but they've all been old fish. So what I'm hoping is like I might be able to catch a few better stampers. I've only got £36 and there's an hour and a half to go, so we need to sort of double our weight at least in this last hour and a half. There we go. Again, it's not one of the big ones, but probably £3 carp. Probably get me to £40 now. Right? Could do them drifting up this way. There's not as much cover in this peg. It could also be that the far bank's in the shade and the carp don't want to be in the shade. The F1s might want to be, but they're not really feeding today properly, so it's the only reason I can think why I've not really had many carp coming in the mud. Got another one now though. It'd be nice if we just start getting a little bit of consistency down this edge. Nice ghoster. Again, it's not another big boy, but probably £3.5. So I've just done another little carp, and then again this is another smaller carp, £3–4. Not really seeing many of the big ones. I mean, I'm not complaining, still a lot better than what I was doing. That probably puts me on about £46–47, so an hour and 20 minutes to go. 4 fish there, I've probably put another 25% of my weight in the net. I always see them. So at the minute you might think, what is coming off this edge line? Is he mad? But what I'm trying to do is prime it back up so I can get a good finish on it. See, that's one of the better F1s, that's what, they're the F1s you want really, like £3. So I've done this at last hour now, I reckon I've got about £53, I reckon. Just started, obviously we've had 3 or 4 carp in that edge, not the big ones, but you know, decentish fish. A couple more F1s on that mud line. Fish are sort of, when they are coming in now, they're getting a little bit easier to catch, which I was fully expecting. The plan now is just sort of bounce these 2 lines, see what I can catch on the mud, see if them carp turn up in that edge any quicker. Probably potted it sort of 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago. Just put a bit of bait down there just to sort of re-prime it. Even though I was catching, I just didn't feel it was quite quick enough. I've gone on the mud and had a couple of quick fish, and I feel like it's probably, my time is probably better spent in the edge now. But if we can catch some big fish on this, I don't want to neglect it. So what I'll probably do, give it another 5–10 minutes on this, go back in that edge. If the edge is good, we might just sit there for the remainder of the match, because the fish have been bigger, and it might, time of day as well, it might get a little bit better. But you need to make sure that you keep your options open. So don't neglect this mud. Just a little bite then. Don't neglect this mud, because they can just turn up out of nowhere, just like edge fishing. Exactly what you're doing across, you're sort of doing in the edge really. It's the same sort of, you know, it's shallow water fishing. It's just like margin fishing but on the far bank. So if I get a bit more aggressive for that far bank, carp could potentially turn up there as well. So I'll have another 1 or 2 chucks over here. If it's no good, or I don't feel it's improving, then I want to drop in that edge, put a big pot over there, and then it's just a case of working out which one I want to fish really, which is the best, which is the quickest. Sometimes having a little bit of patience and catching bigger fish is better than catching numbers of fish. That one took a little bit of time. That's been messing about in peg for a while, that one. Feels a bit bigger. Is it a carp possibly? Yep, another ghoster. That little fish, probably looks £3, but probably weighs 3.5. Got him. You know, the sort of stamp of F1s we've been looking for, but they've not really been feeding properly today. £2.5 probably gets me to like, I'm forgetting what I've got, probably about £59 I reckon. We've probably got bang on an hour left. Maybe just under an hour. So there's a few fish in the beds now. This will be my third fish there. The last two have been F1s, this is an F1 as well. Which is, it's alright, but I was hoping for carp really there. Just to bump my weight up a little bit further. Still time yet. Another one. Again, it's only £1.5 off one. A little £1.5 stock here. So we'll just nip the big F1 from that edge. Five minutes to go. I was hoping for a good finish in that edge, just sort of let me down a little bit. I was hoping for sort of £30–40 run or something. I mean, that's being optimistic, but it can happen. It's not like uncommon for it to happen. But a good finish, and it looked like it was going to happen at one point. And then it's just gone a little bit funny, really. I mean, it's cross peg sort of not got, you know, bigger staff or bigger stamp fish will come onto it. Whether it's because you're on a lack of fish, and, you know, there aren't as many big fish here, and there's more stockies here, I'm not too sure. Well, just dropped in this edge. It's probably £3 that one, so got to my target weight. You know, if I finished and weighed in now, I'd have took this 2 hours ago, but because I've got a bit ahead of myself, a bit ahead of, you know, what I was expecting sort of thing, I was hoping to push on and maybe finish a little bit stronger, and it's not really materialised like that. You know, when I caught them carp with like an hour and 10 minutes to go, I'm thinking, could go and catch another 5 or 6 of these last hour, 10 carp to finish off would have been mega. Even if they were them 3–4 pounders. you know, that would have been really good just to bump that weight up 30-40 pound. But just doesn't seem as many there. It seems to be more F1s. Definitely bigger in the edge than they are across. Me coming in this edge this last 12 minutes, I've probably had £5 in 2 fish. Probably would have been 3 stockies fishing across. So if I get one more in it, it's probably the right decision. If I don't, probably might have caught 3 more stockies for £5 fishing across. I can just nick one now, last chuck. Only a couple of minutes left, I think, if that, maybe a minute. Oh, air bite, you little bugger. Oh, that was it as well. Just missed one right on the whistle. If I'd have got that, I would have said, yeah, that was the right decision. I mean, it probably was the right decision. I didn't actually catch it, but that would have been a nice way to finish the match. So we'll get weighed in, see how we've done. Don't know how the rest of it's fished. It's been a scorcher though, so it could fish hard. And then we'll let you know exactly where we've ended up. Right, that's the end of the match then. We've weighed £98.3. We've ended up coming second overall, so I'm quite happy with that from here, to be honest. I set myself a target of sort of 70 odd pound, 80 pound would have been good. So to catch 98, the way it's fished without lots of bonus fish, I feel like it's not a bad weight, to be fair. Them stockies weighed a little bit more than expected, but the match went exactly how I thought it would. First 3 hours would be really slow, and then it would slowly start to pick up towards the end of the match. After 3 hours, I think he had around about £35. Probably had about £40 looking back, because them stockies have weighed a little bit heavier. And then the last 2 hours, I've ended up catching £58. So even with a little bit of a poor finish, I've still caught double plus a bit more of what I caught in the first 3 hours. So it just shows you, as long as you're fishing the right line, some days the fish just won't feed. It's too warm, it's too hot. But then when the cloud covers come over and the fishing conditions have got a little bit better, the fish have started to feed. So made up with that, £98. Would I have done anything different? Maybe brought some maggots for the hook. I think I would have caught a few more stockies doing that. But bait wise, no mate, I only brought 2 pints of pellets today. Maybe if I'd have put a few more pellets in and a little bit less ground bait, I might have been able to catch them in that edge where it's a little bit deeper, slightly better. So maybe up my ratio of micros to ground bait just for that late on spell. But obviously with the cameras and stuff like that, bankside disturbance, they're never going to settle properly. So I'm not blaming you, Toby, it's not your fault, but things like that do play a part. So yeah, there was a bit funny in that edge. I felt like I had them settled, to be fair, and then it just never really materialised. But sometimes there's just not many carp there, they disappear and you're left with the F1s, and that's what sort of happened, but it never went solid with F1s in the edge either. But you know, we just come off the back of spawning. I knew the fishing was going to be quite hard. I say hard, I've had £98, I still had a great day's fishing, but I know the potential of this place, and on the right day you could do exactly the same thing, catch 150, 180 and think it's really easy. But days like today, it just shows you keeping your bait nice and tight, rotating your lines, don't have too many lines going off. I didn't feed down the middle in the deep water today. I've looked around the lake, nobody's caught shallow. Even on the good pegs to my left, like where they always catch shallow, it's probably had 2 or 3 fish shallow. It's just not been a shallow day. It's too bright, too sunny. All the fish want to be in shallow water and against the cover. So watercraft, little things like that definitely plays a part, making sure that you're setting your peg up and fishing in the right parts of your peg. In terms of the actual fishing, dead simple. But yeah, I wouldn't change too much. Maybe bring a few more micros next time. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. So big well done to Chris Weeder Jr. He's ended up winning the match, £114. And then I think £80 won Lake 1 on the other lake, which I thought would actually be the better lake today. So just shows you the conditions have even knocked that off a little bit. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Matchday Live, and hopefully we'll get out and do another one very shortly.